it's really interesting how many people struggle through judgment or through the presence of judgment. Many people struggle to be able to respectfully disagree that they have different points of view. And that's something that we're seeing in the cultures of organizations, in the cultures of communities, in human behavior as a shift. And I think it's really important for you as an individual to have boundaries and to know what's important to you, and to definitely appreciate the fact that this is what you stand for, or this is what you will fight against, etc. And I think that when we talk about disagreeing or agreeing to disagree in the context of a workplace, is respectfully remembering that in the context of team, you're probably all there to work towards a higher intention and a goal as such. And so while the process may involve some disagreement, it's really important that we don't take those conflicts that we might experience through robust discussions home, or to put judgment that those behaviors that we've seen from somebody become who they are. One of the things we talk about is the fact that people are not their behaviors. So I certainly will put my hand up and say that there have been times in the past when I've done some pretty ugly behaviors under pressure or under stress, or, I felt, perhaps psychologically unsafe, or I've been confronted by someone. And so I will be the first to say that I've had moments like that where once I calmed down, I reflected on my behavior. I thought, my God, that's so not me. I can't believe I responded that way. And I'm sure that every single leader or anyone that's interacted with a spouse can relate, or a significant other can relate, that sometimes you have these moments where you perhaps show up different from who you really believe you are. And I think it's about being able to create that little bit of appreciation and that empathy to remember that actually it's okay to have robust discussions. It's okay to agree to disagree. It's okay to have different points of view and different models of the world. And then what do you do after that? So how do we make sure that we're not taking home, like people create grudges in conversations where there's challenging or conflicting points of view. How do we make sure that we don't take those grudges beyond a meeting or beyond a robust discussion? And then we remember that there's a human behind some of those behaviors, that has a family, that cares about other human beings, etc. So I think that's, in relation to something that you said in a meeting that we had a couple of weeks ago, Alex, what's the highest intention, and remembering that there is a highest intention.
Absolutely. And Shondell, it's one of those things where, there's no unresourceful people, but there's unresourceful states. And sometimes we do tend to buy into things, maybe not with the right intention or not the right understanding of what the other person is trying to communicate with us. And as we know, people react emotionally and then they justify logically later. And that comes back to when you were saying, you'll react in a certain way and then later on you think, gee, that's not really me to do that. And I'm not sure what was going on there. And I think, to be a phenomenal leader is creating space, and it's holding space for other people, but it's always understanding, what is the intention of this person? What is it that they're, why are we here? And a lot of the times when we look at the higher intention of each and every individual that we're actually communicating with, we usually find that we're all aiming for the same thing, but obviously we're all going to communicate a little differently from one another. And once again, it comes back into values, doesn't it? But, being a leader and holding space, I think really is important, Brad.
There's one
about knowing how to be able to do that. A lot of the times we don't have a framework of how to do that. We know there'll be an uncomfortable, awkward silence, or worse, there'd be filler words in conversation, so we don't get to have that uncomfortable silence, because that uncomfortable silence is too uncomfortable. So one of the things we talk about is the agreement frame, and being able to do that. And it's really good in all contexts.